Once again, it's on. You know what time it is. It's time to play some toss. Welcome, everyone, to episode 96. That's right, 96. Getting closer to 100. Episode 96 of the Tristain Sports Show Toss. It is your main man, T-Squared, Tristan Thomas. Thank you so much for joining us. What do we have on tap this week? The Green Bay Packers win in thrilling fashion, but it really felt like two games played in one. We'll discuss. The Brewers clinch their division. What is it all about now? And is this team really built for October? The Bucks had media day and training camp gets underway this week. We'll talk about some of the more notable quotes and the temperature in the room during media day. And then the toss sweep, we have to check in with the WNBA Playoffs. They rage on. They have been fantastic. And the NBA and vaccines. Yeah, we got to get into it. But you all know how we get things started here on Toss. We get things started with the state of the state. And let's get to those Green Bay Packers who, as I said before, won in thrilling fashion in San Francisco. Sunday Night Football, as I said they would. I gave it a 27-24 score on Quick Toss, which you can watch on Facebook. That's facebook.com/TOnSportsShow. Those shows typically drop on Thursdays. We predicted a close victory. Why did I predict a close victory? Because it was week 3 of the regular season. These teams are still working to become what they're going to become. Everything's not perfect. They're trying to work things into place. Packers are very much in that same boat. Horrible week 1. They had no juice. Much better in week 2. Dominant victory. Playing against a tough team. Week 3, on the road. Their home opener, the Niners. You knew it was going to be tough. It really felt like it was 2 games in one. The first half, we saw more of that dominance that we saw in the Packers' Monday night victory over the Lions. But this was a little bit different, y'all. That first half, and I would say right up to the waning moments of the second quarter, when San Francisco eventually scored, gave themselves a little bit of momentum and made themselves hang around. You all know how I feel about teams hanging around the games. Not good. But we'll talk about that in a minute. For most of the first quarter and most of the second quarter, it was physical dominance, the likes of which I did not expect to come from the Green Bay Packers against the 49ers. I felt the 49ers were going to do that to the Packers. We had seen them do that before. Didn't see it last season because this whole team was decimated by injury. So the Packers were able to come in and punk them. And that's exactly what they did. But the year before that, in those 2 crushing defeats, including one in the NFC Championship game, it was bully ball all day. Packers had no answers. They got their asses handed to them at the line of scrimmage on both the offensive line and the defensive line. They had no answers. Just absolutely got ran over. This time it was the Packers running over the Niners. You had rookies all across the line. Rookie center, rookie tackles, rookie guard. And Yash did a fantastic job, the rookie. I mean, he stepped in and the center did a wonderful job as well. After a couple shaky possessions to begin the game, they settled in. And it wasn't just the line that settled in. Robert Tonyan was putting Joey Bosa on his ass. Alan Lazard was blocking his behind off. Jones did a nice job chipping. Dillon did a nice job chipping. This was an all-out effort. And I said it on the Toss blog, tossnationmedia.com. You can read it there. That line, the tight ends, the wide receivers who do excel at blocking, found their nasty. They found their nasty, and they brought it. Niners had no answers. Packers are up 17-0 into the waning seconds of the second quarter. Niners put a score on the board. Going to the half 17-7. Niners get the ball first after the half. And you never like that scenario. A team gains a little bit of momentum. They actually score, put points on the board, and they get the ball first to begin the second half. That's never a good combination. That means the team is finding momentum and finding a way to hang around in games. And I don't like it when teams find a way to hang around in games. You just don't feel comfortable. You got to put teams like that away. Second half comes around, and it ends up being a fight for survival. Far cry from that physical dominance of the first half that the Packers showed against the Niners. Now you're just fighting to escape Levi Stadium with a victory. Now you're fighting for your life. And that's exactly what it came down to. Now, the lead eventually evaporated. Packers still put some drives together to put points on the board. But it was really a half that saw the 49ers get all the momentum. And let's be clear, side note, the officiating in this game was horrid. You're talking phantom PI calls, especially against Stokes. My gosh. That vicious hit that Davante Adams took, which if you looked at the look of his eyes, I said it on Twitter at the 2-0-double, he's concussed. He looked like he was in a completely different world. Comes out in the press conference. After they let him back, I believe he missed like one snap or something. In the press conference, he was asked, well, how did you come back so fast? He said, I'm different. Essentially, he got the wind knocked out of him. Now, look, I'm inclined to believe him. But at the same time, I know the look I saw in his eyes. And I'm not the only one who saw that look in his eyes. He looked like he was in a completely different world. That did not have the look of somebody having the wind knocked out of them. I've had the wind knocked out of me. Maybe I look like that. Maybe I didn't. I don't know. But I've seen people get concussed in front of me. And I know what that looks like, and that had the look of a concussion. But it wasn't. Doctors cleared him, came back to the game, and had the two biggest catches of the game. To help get this squad into field goal range for Mason Crosby, who has just been, you don't want to say automatic, but damn, as close as there can be is automatic. It really feels like he's found a second prime. On kicks to tie the game or take the lead in the fourth quarter or overtime, Mason Crosby is 3 for 3 since 2019. You can make that 4 for 4 because he made the 51-yard field goal. Packers win the game 30-28. Some ridiculous throws on display by Aaron Rodgers in that game. Throughout the game, the touchdown to MVS, the big plays to MVS, the throws to Devontae on that final drive to get into position for the field goal. And for all the talk in the offseason that the media was just trying to drum up all this drama and talk about he doesn't care, he's not interested, and all that was fueled by the terrible game one they had against New Orleans and Jacksonville. Oh, he's uninterested. We told you he didn't want to play for the Packers anymore. He's not like this. He's tanking the season because he wants to be able to go the next season. He doesn't care. Go and look at the footage. Look at the celebration after Mason Crosby hit the field goal. Look at what he did after he spiked the ball after a big, huge pass play to Davante Adams to get them into position. He's fist pumping. He's high-fiving. He's chest bumping his teammates. He's into it. He hasn't checked out. There's not an ounce of quit or don't care in him. He's all in with this team. Y'all are going to have to get over it. Stop it. But I digress. It was a thrilling victory. It was 2 games in one. You really don't like it when teams kind of sort of play with their food, but at the same time, again, you have to give credit to the Niners. They fought themselves back into it. Jimmy G made some pretty good throws. I like Shanahan's decision to kind of use Trey Lance when they got into the red zone. They were able to score that way. That's a good football team. That is a good football team. They may be missing some running backs and some players on defense, but that is a good football team. And to go into their place in their home opener, Sunday Night Football, only game in town, all eyes are on you, to pull off a victory like that after you were really, and I don't want to say blowing the barn doors off of them, but after you were really physically beating their behinds. And then they start to come back, and there's no ounce of quitting them either. For you to survive and to find a way to win. 37 seconds left on the clock. And as soon as Juszczyk scored, I said they left too much time on the clock. I thought for sure he was going to go down before he hit the goal line. Packers had no timeouts. They couldn't stop the clock. Niners had all 3. He does that, it's game over. Niners are more than likely going to score unless the Packers come up with one hell of a goal line stand, and I just really did not have the confidence they were going to be able to do that. I'll be honest with you. There were moments of brilliance by that defense, but it's still a work in progress. We saw them be a little bit more fast, a little bit more aggressive, like Joe Barry said he wanted to play. I think the players are starting to get it, but it's still a work in progress. And we saw some progress, but there's still work to be done. But I think we're starting to see a little bit what Joe Barry wants to incorporate and what he wants to do out there. But as soon as he went down, or as soon as he scored, I was like, they left too much time on the clock. Rodgers can get it done, timeouts or not. They could get down there. And it took a couple of incredible throws to do so, but they got it done. So you fight for survival in week 3. Get the victory. You're now 2-1. You're all by your lonesome in first place of the NFC North because, with the exception of the Vikings, everybody else lost. The Bears lost. The Lions lost again. You're 2-1. Those 2 teams are 1-2, and Detroit's sitting down there at 0-3, and you got to feel for them. Losing on a 66-yard field goal by Justin Tucker, crazy. I never thought I would see a field goal of that distance hit in my lifetime, and here we are. Hit the crossbar, but it made it. You got to be impressed with the fight that the Lions have shown. But, man, what a tough way to lose. But, as I said, Packers, first place, NFC North by themselves. Now you go back home to Lambeau. Late Sunday afternoon game. You got the A crew from CBS coming in, Jim Nantz, Tony Romo, Tracy Wolfson. It's a game of the week type of game, but you would have thought that the Steelers would be playing a little bit better than what they are. And now you're hearing whispers of, do you bench Ben Roethlisberger? You got TJ Watt dealing with injury. You got Juju Smith-Schuster dealing with injury. I mean, they are in a bit of disarray right now, are the Steelers. But that's a dangerous thing. A Mike Tomlin coach team, a bit in disarray, really needed to find themselves. Otherwise, they're going to begin to lose ground in the North Division of the AFC. This is a dangerous game. This is a dangerous game. And we'll talk more about it on Quick Toss. Again, you can watch that Thursdays. TossNationMedia.com, Facebook.com/T on Sports Show. We'll get into that, and I'll let you know my prediction then, but I feel that's a really dangerous game. But the Packers get the victory out in San Francisco. 2-1. Things are starting to get a little bit better for those guys. Continuing here on Toss, State of the State, let's talk about the Brewers really quickly. This past Sunday, they clinched the Central Division of the National League, Central Division champions. Congratulations. Far cry from that under 500 wild card playoff team from last season in that sprint of a season that they had last season. Kind of just fell into the playoffs. And honestly, you always hope for the best, but you prepare for the worst. And I quite frankly did not have the utmost confidence that the team was going to come out of that wild card game with a victory. I'll admit it. It just was not the same team as this team is. Ryan Braun, who announced his retirement earlier in the week, was honored on Sunday. Officially retired a Brewer, 14 years, one team, one city. Outstanding career for him. And it was only fitting that he was able to retire and say his goodbyes and his thank yous in front of that home crowd in Milwaukee. Didn't get a chance to have his at-bats in front of a home crowd in Milwaukee last season, his final at-bats. But for him to be able to retire officially a Brewer in front of a sold-out crowd, the second sold-out crowd in Milwaukee this season, was really something special to watch, really something special to feel. The video package that was put together to show all the moments that Ryan Braun had, I mean, just absolutely clutch, just provided some really magical moments. Just hats off to him on a great career. It was Bob Uecker Day the day before that. Ueck, 87 years old, still calling some great baseball. Still just as funny as he's ever been. And you see him celebrating with the team after they won the Central Division crown. They're calling for him to come over and get in the team picture. And they gifted him with a pair of a custom Brewers colored pair of Air Jordan Low Legend Blues with the insignia "One of Us." The crew feels that Uecker is one of them. They want him involved with the player celebrations, and it really feels like in a way they're really playing for him as well. Trying to get him that ring with the Brewers. Just wonderful to see how they embrace Ueck and how they embrace the city and how they embrace each other. This team is really built for October. Good defense, timely hitting, and the hitting's only gotten better. Because you all know my sentiments, especially from last season. You cannot come into 2021 with that same putrid offense that you had in 2020. Can't do it. Cannot do it. And at first, it was looking like they had done that. The trade for Willy Adames, like I said, I wasn't high, I wasn't low. I was like, we'll see what he provides. It's a wait and see thing. It could be great. It's a David Stearns move. Or it could be disastrous like Jonathan Scope. We'll see. And it has not been Jonathan Scope. Adames is a legitimate NL MVP candidate. Was the spark that the Brewers needed, and they've been playing well ever since he has come onto the team via that trade. So now you have the timely hitting. And the one thing they came in here with, which was the pitching. Great to see Devin Williams back on the mound. We were all a little bit worried that injury may take him out of postseason, as his injury took him out of postseason last year. You were definitely hoping that didn't happen again this season. He got in, pitched an inning, got some outs. Good to see him healthy and back on the mound. Got to get Boxberger back into shape. Doing what he had been doing all year long. Hader is, like I said, I don't like to call anybody automatic, but he's as close to automatic as you can get. Only one blown save to this point. Got another one to clinch the division. This team truly is built for October. And you need to do two things in this final week of the regular season. Brewers are already locked into that 2 seed. There's no way they can go up to the number 1 seed. The Giants have that locked up. They can't slide down. They're at the 2 seed. They avoid that 1-game wild card series. They will be seen in the divisional series, best of 5. Is it best of 5 or best of 7? I believe it's best of 5. But this week of baseball is really meaningless other than two things. Really to stay sharp offensively, get those at-bats, to stay sharp defensively. But the big thing is you want to stay healthy. You do not want to get an injury at this point. Now, they're playing St. Louis, and St. Louis is as hot can be. St. Louis swept Milwaukee last week. St. Louis went on to win, I believe, 16 straight. Doing all that work to possibly get into a wild card and lose in one game. Crazy. But they are as hot can be. They've already lost Molina to a shoulder injury. So if you're the Brewers, you don't want to have any type of freak accidents or any type of freak injuries. You dealt with injuries enough this season. I mean, you really have. I mean, the Canes of the world and the Adamises of the world and the Colton Wongs of the world, the Uriases of the world. I mean, you've had it. Yelich has been out, in and out of lineup at times. I mean, you really dealt with some injury. Luckily, those guys were able to rehab and come back, play well, pitch well. But you need to get healthy. Now, you want to gain some momentum, so you will want to win some of these games just to have a little bit of momentum going into postseason. Because, again, you're not going to be on the field for a little bit because you're not in the wild card round. So you're going to be off for a few days. So you want to stay sharp as you possibly can, both offensively and defensively. And you want to stay healthy. And that's what it's about this week for the NL Central Division champion, Milwaukee Brewers. Looking forward to postseason for them. Continuing here on Toss State of the State, let's wrap it up with the Milwaukee Bucks. Yes, the Milwaukee Bucks. We can begin talking about the Bucks again because the offseason is over. Media Day happened on Monday. Training camp begins this week. Brewers made some moves already. They released Mamadi Diakite. Kind of head-scratching to me. But then when I sit down and look at that roster, I'm like, okay, it's understandable because when are they really going to get him some time? I think they may be doing him a favor by releasing him, and he's going to get picked up by another team. There is no doubt to me. He is that talented. He is that talented, and he needs a situation where he's going to be able to get that time. Get that playing time. Not in the G League, but on the NBA roster, because I believe his talent warrants him being on the NBA roster. Look at the roster for the Milwaukee Bucks. They're going to have a tough time getting playing time for all these guys. You got Dante DiVincenzo, who eventually will come back. Grayson Allen, Rodney Hood, George Hill. I mean, and we're not even really talking about Brook Lopez, Giannis, Chris, Drew. I mean, this team, and I've said it before, on paper is much deeper than the championship team. It may be much better than that championship team. There's a lot of guys on the squad that can play. And there's not going to be enough time for all of them. Budenholzer has a nice problem to have. He's going to have to make some decisions on who to play and when to play him. And how much to play him. So it's a good roster. It's a really, you can't even just call it a solid roster. It's a good roster. So I think them releasing Diakite to get picked up by another club and to see NBA minutes is doing him a favor. Now they go and they sign Johnny O'Brien returning Johnny O'Brien to a training camp contract. He may just be a training camp body. I don't really foresee him making the ball club out of camp. They made a couple of other signings, a couple of two-way signings as well. I mentioned that media day happened, and the mentality that I drew from media day, and it feels like everyone's on the same page, is that we're starting over. It's a new season, but we're the same underdogs. Speaking of underdogs, I didn't even mention Bobby Portis still being there. Can't forget about him. But again, I digress. And I love that mentality. Yes, you won the NBA championship, but that was last season. You have an opportunity to do it again. So while types like myself and other media types might call you the defending champions, you're not really defending anything until you get to the NBA Finals again. Can you really be defending your crown until you get to that round in which you could win a championship? I don't think so. But it sounds good. Defending NBA champion Milwaukee Bucks sounds wonderful. I think that's why so many of us still continue to say it. But again, that was last season. So you're going to celebrate it. You're going to raise the banner. You're going to get your rings. But then you close the book on that. And you focus on this new chapter. It is a new season. You're the same underdogs. There are a lot of pundits out there that are not putting respect on your name. They think that you can't win against a fully healthy Nets squad. They think some teams out in the West are going to be able to take you out. Until they do so, they need to put respect on your name because you are the champion. There is no one better than you. But again, you have to go out there and prove it all over again. And I love that mentality. I love that mentality. Hey, we have to go and do this all over again. That championship was cool. We will always hold that memory. We got the jewelry for it. We got the banner for it. Why not go put another one up there? Why not get another ring for another finger? The opportunity for you to do it is right there. You can't let anybody tell you you're not good enough. You're the champs. You've proven that you could be good enough. Now you have to go and do it again. And that is the Bucks mentality. We are starting fresh. It is a new season. We have to go and find a way to do this all over again because every season, every journey is different. This season, different things are going to be called upon you than it was last season. Can you meet that challenge? Can you meet that moment? And the Bucks have the mentality that they have to learn how to meet that moment again. I hope they keep that mentality all season long because it worked for them last season. It'll work for them this season. Every game asks something different of you. Every season asks something different of you. What will you be willing to give this season in order to make this season as successful as last? We're going to find out real quick. Buck season is not that far away. It's time for us to run the toss sweep. Toss Sweep, brought to you by the good folks over at TossNationMedia.com. Toss Nation Media, truthful, opinionated, passionate sports. It's what you deserve. WNBA playoffs have been off the chain. If you haven't been watching it, I feel so bad for you. Quite frankly, you should be damn ashamed of yourself. It's some really good basketball being played. I'm not here to guilt trip you. I'm just telling you, turn on the WNBA playoffs because they've been cracking. We made predictions about the WNBA playoffs last week. And it's time to hold ourselves accountable on whether or not we got them right or wrong. I do my research. I watch my games. I love the WNBA. So that was really easy homework for me to do. We got both predictions in the first round correct. I said Phoenix would win and also said Chicago would win. They did so. The second round, of course, we weren't able to predict the second round, but again, on the Facebook page, Toss, facebook.com/T on Sports Show, I did predict the second round games. I said Phoenix would beat Seattle, especially if Diana Taurasi was playing, and she gutted through that ankle injury. And they defeated the defending champion Seattle Storm. That may have been the last time we see Diana Taurasi, Sue Bird going at it on a court. They exchanged jerseys at the end of the game and just really had a really poignant post-game interview, and crowd starts chanting one more year for Sue, and she definitely felt that. And I don't know, I think that might have been the last time. I think Sue's gonna walk away, and who knows if Diana Taurasi's gonna walk away as well whenever her run is over with. We just don't know, but it felt like a sense of finality for Sue Bird. One of the all-time greats. 4 WNBA championships, a couple of national championships of college with her teammate, Diana Taurasi. 5 gold medals, again, with her teammate, Diana Taurasi. Amazing, amazing career if this is it for her. But Phoenix did bounce the defending champions, as I felt they would. I felt that Chicago's defense would be enough to get through Minnesota, and it was. Chicago's defense is so underrated. I mean, really, and again, I said it before and I'll say it again. When Candace Parker plays, this team is different. This team is really different when she plays. The offense is a little bit crisper. The defense is a little bit tougher. They got through the 3rd seed Minnesota Lynx, and I felt they would. So now you're on to the semifinals. And as we record this program, the game's gone into overtime, 84-84. They faced the number 1 seeded Connecticut Sun with newly minted WNBA MVP Jonquel Jones, well-deserved, 19-11 on the season, double-digit win streak to close the season. They just got hotter than the Sun, honestly, and she was the big impetus of that. But they're locked up in a good matchup. I still feel when it's all said and done, this best-of-5 series, because the semifinals and the WNBA finals, that is a best-of-5 series. So now you're in a real series here. I think Connecticut comes out with it because their defense is just a little bit more tough than Chicago's. And that's no knock on them, but it's just a little bit something different. Now, again, they are in overtime as we record this program. And it seems like their defense is just a little bit off. Their offense is just a little bit off. The shots are just a little bit short. That comes with the time off that they've had. They've been off for a good while, and it takes a little bit to get back into that groove. But I still feel Connecticut will win that series and advance to the WNBA Finals. On the other side, Phoenix is going up against the Las Vegas Aces, the number 2 seeded Las Vegas Aces. As you know, that is my pick to win it all. So clearly I've got them winning this series. You talk about a team whose defense is really good. I believe they were 2nd overall defensively in the WNBA. I believe they were number 1 overall offensively in the WNBA. So this is a complete team. And if Liz Cambage is playing, you're just adding another element into this. She works her way back from COVID. Again, she really has that same effect that Candace Parker has. When she plays, the defense is tougher. The offense is a little bit more crisp. I think the Aces have it all to get that win. And I'm looking forward to a Connecticut-Las Vegas finals. I think Las Vegas seals that deal, but they got to get through the Phoenix Mercury first. And they're no slouch. They are no slouch. But that's where it stands right now. We're in the best-of-5 semifinals. Again, Connecticut and Chicago were locked up in overtime as we record this program. And at last check, I believe Phoenix was actually up 8-0 on Las Vegas early in the first quarter. So a lot of good action going on in the WNBA playoffs. I'm telling y'all need to watch these playoffs. They have been fantastic. All right. Let's get a little bit more serious here. Not that the WNBA playoffs isn't serious, it is. But nothing is as serious as life and death. We have been in the grasp of a worldwide pandemic for nearly 2 years now. And in this country alone, the United States, we're inching ever closer to almost 700,000 deaths from COVID-19. Over the last 2 weeks, according to the New York Times, Wisconsin has had the highest COVID infection rate in the country. And of course, our program is based out of the great state of Wisconsin. So, as you can see, there's grave concern. There's a vaccine out there that's available, and it helps save lives. It was never touted as a be-all, end-all vaccine that would eradicate this disease, this virus. But all of the misinformation seekers out there will try to tell you otherwise. As I mentioned before, NBA Media Day has happened across the league. And it's the media's first chance to talk with players that are, old faces, new places. Talk to players they haven't necessarily seen in a little bit. Fresh new season. Let's get some thoughts, have a little bit of fun. But one of the overall topics was vaccines. Who was vaccinated, who was not. Kyrie Irving was not allowed to be at Media Day because of New York's mandates and such. He is not vaccinated, and he went on a Zoom call. That's the way he did his Media Day, and he said he wanted to, quote-unquote, keep it private. Bradley Beal's questioning, saying, well, why get the shot if people with the shot still get COVID and can still spread COVID? And he's spitting all this misinformation. Yes, vaccinated people still can get COVID, but do they spread it at a higher rate than those that are unvaccinated? No, they do not. Will they die? Chances are extremely low compared to those who are unvaccinated. Will they have the long-term effects of COVID? No, they will not. It is protection. It is not eradication. Jonathan Isaac, who a lot of people were saying, hey, because he stood up during the national anthem where everybody else was kneeling in a fight for social justice. They called his knee injury karma, which I don't agree with. But he, too, is unvaccinated. And he's citing a religious reasons and everything else. Just a lot of misinformation being spit by big-time NBA players. Now, I'm not saying Jonathan Isaac is a big-time NBA player because, let's be clear, he is not. I ain't going to call him a scrub, but he ain't no superstar. He's not a household name. And if he is a household name, the only reason why he is because of this issue right here. And he's getting misinformation. You hear about him watching Trump rallies and Trump press conferences and such. Who it's already been proven that he was at one point in time the biggest source of misinformation in the world. That is not a joke. That is not a misnomer. That is the truth. The NBA has a problem because all these guys are visible. All these guys have eyes and ears of kids out there and people out there. And they're spitting misinformation that is getting people killed. That is not a joke. That is not hyperbole. That is the truth. Now, what I'm happy for is two of their biggest stars came out on Media Day and said they were vaccinated. Giannis during Bucks Media Day said he was vaccinated. He did the best thing for himself and his family. LeBron James and Lakers Media Day said exactly the same thing. Hey, I got vaccinated because after looking at it, it was the best thing to do for myself and my family to protect us. That's called actually doing the research and making an informed decision. There's so much information out there for you that is available. You need to make sure you're finding the correct information, not stuff that you post online with a link and you press the link and it's been taken down because it goes against the guidelines because it's a bunch of BS. Fact check to be untrue. Kareem Abdul-Jabbar has come out and basically laid down the gauntlet and said, hey, I believe that the NBA needs to take a hard stance. Either get vaccinated or get out. Either get vaccinated or you can't play in the league because you are putting too many lives at risk. And that is what it is. I understand there's certain aspects of things being kept quiet and being private, but you're an athlete and there's reports about your injuries. Kyrie's been injured. He's had knee injuries. He's had ankle injuries. Those all get reported. Is he screaming about privacy at that point? No, he is not. But the minute you talk about this vaccine, that delves into his conspiracy theorist side, his misinformation side. And all of a sudden he wants to keep it private. Well, here's the thing. This is not one of those things that people can really keep quiet because it affects me. It affects my family. It affects my friends. Because if you get sick, if you catch this and you pass it on to somebody else and they pass it on to somebody else, it's going to get the people to where they're going to have long haul COVID, long-term issues, and people are going to die. It ceases being a private issue when it affects everyone. Think about smoking. For a long time, people were like, well, I smoke, but it does affect you. But then the studies came along and it's like, well, hold on now. Secondhand smoke? Yeah, that harms the other people. People end up with long-term health problems and cancer from a decision you made to destroy your body. Well, guess what? Now you can't smoke indoors anymore. For what reason? Because you're affecting other people. This is no different. There is a virus that is highly contagious and mutating and continue to do so. And there's a vaccine that will help protect you from catching it and spreading it. And if you do happen to catch it, it will not kill you. It will not give you those long-term health problems. It will not give anybody else long-term health problems. It will not kill anyone else. So all this BS about I need to go and do my own research and all this hoopla and all this BS, stop it. You had ample time to go and do real research, not watch YouTube clips of the most extreme conspiracy theorists, of the most extremely just awful people who say the most awful things and are feeding you misinformation and you're taking it as the truth. Because you're doubting the science of this. But I bet you ain't doubting the science of those doctors who perform the surgeries on you and all the trainers and physical therapists that help keep your behind healthy so you can make the millions of dollars you do playing basketball. You can't have faith in one part of the science and none in the other. The NBA has a problem on its hands and they need to eradicate it. It is going to come down to a vaccine mandate, I believe. And if it does, you might see some names be gone from the league. But at least they'll be keeping people safe and alive. Well, y'all, that'll do it for me. That was episode 96 of the Tristain on Sports Show Toss. Y'all know where to follow me on social media at D20Double. That's at D, the number 2, the number 0, and the word double on Twitter and Instagram. Facebook.com/T on Sports Show is your home for the Toss Facebook page. We touch on a lot of things there that we don't necessarily get a chance to on the show. Again, facebook.com/T on Sports Show. That's TON Sports Show. And of course, TossNationMedia.com, your home for the Toss brand of sports. Truthful, opinionated, passionate sports. It's what you deserve. But as I said before, it's time for me to get on up out of here. This is T-Squared Tristan Thomas reminding all of you to keep it moving forward. Always forward. Forward always. Until next week. So long from Toss.